This is a 2023 Honda HR-V. They are quite a bit lower priced than the actual RAV4s. Don't be fooled by their, in quotes, list prices. Go to a Toyota dealer, see what the drive-out price is, and you're going to be shocked. Last time somebody brought one over, they paid $47,500 for the thing. Two-wheel drive is perfectly fine for most people. You're going to pay a lot less money. You're going to get better gas mileage. You're going to have less maintenance. To me, why waste money on all-wheel drive? Especially if you live in a place like Florida, you're driving on the roads. Even people here in Rhode Island, most of them say, we don't even put snow tires on our cars anymore. They don't care, and they have got front-wheel drive. Don't poo-poo the front-wheel drive cars. And we'll pop the hood. It's got a nice interior, and it's got a screen that's good because it doesn't block the view at all. Got a nice sunroof. He's got it open today. They did a nice job. Back seats are all clean. You can tell he doesn't have any kids yet. Really nice gray metallic paint job. See, he did his research because he's an Eagle Scout and he's a Seminoles fan because he's going to school in Florida State. Now, the owner has one complaint. He says it's really slow. Now, consider this. His previous car was an Audi 2-liter turbo. Now, the Audi 2-liter turbos are very fast cars. But as he found out, they fall apart like a Chinese motorcycle. So he got rid of the Audi and got this, and a friend of his kept the Audi, and she just spent $8,000 on it, having it maintained and repaired. So this is a Honda. I guarantee you, he's not going to spend $8,000 on this. And if he bought another 8 Hondas, he probably wouldn't spend it. Now, this is a non-turbo. It's a natural aspirated engine, and it's a 2-liter engine. So why is he complaining about pickup? The Audi was a 2-liter engine too, but the Audi had a turbocharger on it, German technology. These 2-liter engines that Honda makes, yeah, it's a relatively heavy vehicle, right? You put this thing in a Civic, soup it up, zoom, zoom, zoom. But it's a bigger, heavier vehicle. But these 2-liter engines can last forever. I've seen them with 500,000 miles on them, and they were still running strong. And yeah, with 500,000 miles, maybe they burn a quart of oil every couple of thousand miles. Big deal, oil's cheap. Engines are expensive. And these things are well made. Just realize, no turbo, no extra pressure, engines will last longer. I mean, that's just a fact. To compare this with his previous Audi, Audi told him that it's normal to burn a quart of oil every 1,000 miles. When he had 60,000 miles on a car, it started burning oil. I mean, it's just bad quality. And a lot of them try to blame it on, well, by law, we have to use low friction compression rings on the pistons so they don't seal as well, and then they burn oil, blah, 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 blah. How come the Toyotas and Hondas don't burn oil then? They just know how to make them, where companies like Audi, Ford, GM, Chrysler, they have no idea how to make them, and they all burn oil when they get old. Now, we'll take it for a little spin. Nice little sound. We'll start her up. And we'll turn the radio off, even though they're singing about Nashville. Where my other house is, we'll close the sunroof, so it'll be quiet, and we'll see what it rides like. It does have electronic parking brake, but I mean, hey, they all do these days. Very nice widescreen backup camera, nice. Relatively high up in the air, so we'll go over the big bump here. We don't have to slow down too much. And away we go. You got both a digital and an analog speedometer, so you can go either where you want. We're going over the bumpy roads here, and it's not bad. Now, it's a relatively short wheelbase vehicle, so you're going to feel some of the bumps, but hey, the struts are absorbing the shocks pretty well. Let's see what he's whining about lack of acceleration. You can see while we're waiting, it's got economy, snow. We'll put it on normal mode. Notice there isn't a sport mode. I guess they don't want you zooming around. We're going to be waiting a while. It's lunchtime. People are coming to the left. No, people are coming from the right. All right, it's going to be our chance to go. Here we go. Now, I don't call it horrible, but you compare this to an Audi with a dual clutch transmission and a 2-liter turbo, yeah, it's extremely slow. He was just used to the really fast one. Now, do realize this has a Honda CVT transmission in it. Now, Honda makes pretty good stuff. It's not like they break down, but truthfully, this transmission is not my cup of tea. I agree with the owner. It kind of makes the acceleration rather sluggish. We put it in low. Give it a little more zip, but still not a fan of the CVT. If you want zippiness, this isn't the vehicle for you. If you want transportation, it'll get you from here to there for a long time. This is probably a good bet for you. It just got that kind of lag in. Here we go again, taking off. All right, right there. It just doesn't have the get up and go of a regular transmission that has gears in it. But it will get better gas mileage. And I mean, it gets 32 miles a gallon on the highway, which is good for an SUV. You just got the kind of lack of acceleration. I'd love to see something like a dual clutch transmission put in one of these. That would really give it some zip. But these are more or less transportation machines for people. So as the owner just said, and I agree, Honda didn't just make this as a car enthusiast vehicle. They made it as a really good transportation device. Honda has plenty of zooming away cars you can buy. You get a Civic Type R if you want to be insane, you know. But they built this for people to get around in. 2-liter, non-turbo. The things will probably last forever. And if anybody goes back to their roots, how do you think the Japanese sold us a bunch of cars? By making cars that were incrementally better over each year, so they didn't break. And as he said, I got sick of fixing all my cars that broke all the time, so he got this, and he made a wise decision. This thing isn't going to break down. Now, he is in Florida, so he's probably only about 5 feet above sea level. Another hurricane comes, it may float away, but it's probably not going to break down. They all look the same. This doesn't look much different than the Mazda or the Toyota or even a small Mercedes. Now, they all look the same, and if they're made with Honda quality, hey, don't waste your money on all-wheel drive. Get a front-wheel drive one like this. Hey, it'll get you where you're going for a really long time. And really, Honda's been building those 2-liter engines for a long time. Any day, I would rather have a 2-liter Honda engine than a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine, because I know they won't last as long. Yeah, they're faster and yeah. But for my money, the best engines Honda ever made were 2-liter inline 4s. Just like I say with Toyota. Their best engine, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm a cheapskate, was their 1.8 inlines. I had a 1.8 inline in my Corolla SR5 hatchback. I had a 1.8 liter in my 94 Celica. I got a 1.8 liter 4-cylinder in my wife's Matrix. That's Toyota's bread and butter for things that are going to last a long time. And the 2 liters in Hondas, hey, you can't go wrong if you want something that's going to last a really long time with very little maintenance. A guy brought me a Honda 2-liter a month ago. He bought it used for $2 grand. It had almost 200,000 miles on it. The thing ran almost like a brand new vehicle because it didn't have a turbo. It had the Honda 2-liter engines. These things can run forever. And in the case of this, the guy didn't make a compromise like the guy with the Mazda did. That, gee, I would have liked the RAV4, but they cost so much more. 15 grand more. I'll get this Mazda CX-5 instead, right? The only compromise he made was speed. And he's getting older and wiser. So he's realizing, maybe I don't need all that speed anymore. I'll go for comfort, nice looking car that can get good gas mileage, last a long time. And all you got to basically do is change the oil and filter every 5,000 miles. 2023 Honda CR-V hybrid, top of the line from Ontario. It was made in Ontario, so why not get one from Ontario, right? He paid 48 Canadian dollars, so that's less than American dollars. All-wheel drive, and it's a hybrid. Now, if you're going to buy one of these things, you got 2 choices now. Open the hood, I'll explain. And look, this isn't a cheapie. There's no little metal rod. It's got hydraulics on it, so hey, it is a 2-liter Honda engine. It's the Atkinson cycle to get better gas mileage, and it's a hybrid, so it's got an electric motor and it's got a battery in the trunk. The choice for this is a 1.5 liter turbocharged engine. Something this big, 1.5 isn't enough, so of course they turbocharged it. Well, I don't like little turbocharged engines. They won't last as long. In the real world, they won't get the gas mileage they advertise now. It gets 40 miles a gallon in a city and 36 on the highway because it's a hybrid. It regenerates electricity. You can't really argue that. And these are real figures. This isn't some made-up crap. This is what he actually gets. And when you look inside, you can see it's got a lot of room. The fake leather seats, which of course will last longer. And for those who feel cramped to space, check it out. Look, it actually goes a little more than 90 degrees. You got a lot of room to get in and out the back seat. It isn't one of these you're squeezing in to get in. Hey, don't even get me talking about this Polaris, man. Climbing in and out of this thing is a chore. And it doesn't even have doors. It's all-wheel drive. And from my experience with the Hondas and their hybrids, they're pretty much like Toyotas. They're extremely dependable. You take care of them, they can last an awful long time. Even though I'm not really a fan of hybrid because I keep my cars 20, 30, 40 years, and I know how much it costs to fix that stuff. I've got all the new equipment for working on them, and I know it costs a fortune. Something like this probably won't break down till it gets, I don't know, 150, 180, 200,000 miles or more. So you're happy with that. Yeah. But I'm happy with 3, 4, 500,000 miles. So I'm a cheapskate. So in that case, personally, I wouldn't buy this or its sister ship because it's a 1.5 turbo. I definitely would not buy a 1.5 turbo. It's going to wear out a lot faster. This engine is an Atkinson cycle. They put out actually less horsepower. That's why it needs the electric boost. But they can last a really long time. They don't have all this turbocharged rammed air that's going to wear them out faster like the 1.5 liter turbo does. So if you really are looking at longer life with this, you'd probably be better off getting a hybrid than getting a 1.5 liter turbo engine. Plus, in the real world, you're going to get a lot better gas mileage. Try finding something like this. It's just nice that gets 40 miles a gallon in town. Good luck. Now, they've been selling the heck out of CRVs for decades, right? It's number 2 in the United States to the RAV4, which is its main competitor. They both offer hybrids. And the only difference is the RAV4 offers an actual automatic transmission. But as this owner just told me, he's got a friend who's got a new RAV4 fancy multi-speed transmission. He didn't like driving it because it's doggy. And I gotta admit, it gets phenomenal gas mileage. We rented one in Death Valley. We got like 55 miles a gallon going 50 miles an hour. Park had a lower speed limit, so we went slower, right? So he got phenomenal gas mileage. But it did not have the acceleration this thing has because this does have a CVT transmission. All the hybrids I've ever seen have a CVT transmission, but it's an eCVT transmission. Now, if you want to just test it out yourself, you're thinking about buying one, hey, you can listen to me. I'll give you all the technical specs, but I am not your rear end sitting there and driving it. Road test them to see what you like, because the Honda CRV that has the regular CVT and a 1.5 turbo gasoline engine, you're going to find out that this thing shifts a heck of a lot better than that one does. Because this has an eCVT and the other one just has a normal CVT. Honda doesn't offer automatic transmissions in those anymore. You know, if you want an automatic transmission, you'd have to go to a RAV4. Not the hybrid RAV4, because the hybrid is a CVT. It's an eCVT just like this thing is. Of course, it has all the modern conveniences, you know. You kick it and it opens. I kicked it and it stopped. We'll kick it again. And it's warning you. It's not as fast as me, but and it's got the giant hydraulics because it's opening and closing itself. And you can see he's got the security flap there. I like that. And there's plenty of room for what you're carrying. And if you're not carrying a bunch of people, just like our Matrix, pop the seats down. You got tons of room for carrying stuff with. Let's see if it'll close now. It doesn't like me. Let's take it for a spin and see what this hybrid does. First thing I gotta say is the seats are ultra comfy. And they're gonna stay comfy because they're not leather, they're fake leather. Of course I have this, I'm not a fan, but it's got a push button. And it has an electric parking brake. Well, what can you do? Got a nice wide angle lens. Camera for the backup so you can see the lights matrix. It is a nice backup camera. Check it out, so. We're going to put it into sport mode. Tells you right there it's in sport mode. And you can hear the noise. Listen, the angels are with us. As you can see, it's got a really nice heads-up display here. I like the gauges too. Not only do you have your speedometer on the right, but you also have it there. And he switched it over to miles per hour because he's driving the United States. And of course it has the 50 limit because you can see, okay, this thing goes to 220, right? No, it's not the only CRV hybrid that does 220 miles an hour. That's 220 kilometers an hour. And it's brand new, everything's good in it. Now, these roads in Rhode Island, I say, are terrible. And, okay, you feel some of the bumps. It is an SUV, but it rides perfectly fine. On the flat road, it's totally smooth. When you get a somewhat high, somewhat boxy vehicle, you're always going to get a little rough riding when you get on really crappy roads. Now we're at the opening here, and there's nobody on the right, so we'll wait to the left, and here we go. Woo! Hey, it makes a nice sound too. Let me tell you, a lot of these are too quiet. Honda wasn't stupid. This has a dual exhaust on it, and it really makes a good sound. With the hybrid engine, got plenty of oomph. Now, you're not going to be getting 40 miles a gallon if you drive like I just did, but when you want to, you can. And being a Honda, you know, it's going to handle perfectly fine. They sell an awful lot of these CRVs. There's a lot of reasons why. Originally, Honda was way behind Toyota with hybrids. The Prius just blew them away. Honda couldn't give away their little hybrids. I remember seeing showroom floors full of them in Houston, and they put them in the lots. They couldn't sell them. But they pretty much caught up with Toyota now. Of course, it's whisper quiet when you're just going slow. And realize it's not a plug-in hybrid. It doesn't drive around miles and miles on the battery. It's a boost system that works quite well to get better gas mileage, and you can twirl around really slow for a little while on electricity. But you won't be going far or fast. Smooth ride, but when you want power, there it goes. And of course, it's got all the modern conveniences, lane departure, you can see the picture over there. All that stuff. I don't trust my life for any of them, but I mean, it comes in handy if you're not paying attention. So there you have it, a brand new CRV, the hybrid version. Phenomenal gas mileage, nice zippy pickup. Certainly Honda dependability wasn't all that bad, because that's 48,000 Canadian dollars, smooth ride. Phenomenal gas mileage, lots of space. In the case of this hybrid, hey, it's brand new. I forecast good things for this vehicle. Yeah, it might not go 400,000 or 500,000 miles with the hybrid drive. You got to put a little money in it. But on the other hand, it's probably going to go hundreds of thousands of miles. All you're going to have to do is change the oil. Here's a 2023 Civic Type R. It's only got 300 miles. You just picked it up. They're amazing little race cars, but they got 4 doors, so you can put your kids in them too. And believe me, your kids will probably love it. Now, they only make a limited amount of these, so there's one big drawback, and that's the price, all right? They list for around 40 something. Well, yeah, okay, you paid 60 for this. You're gonna pay money. I saw people on the East Coast pay over 75 grand for these things. They aren't cheap, but if you can get them at least close to MSRP, you're gonna do okay, because these things are already collector's items when you buy them brand new. Most people don't put that many miles on them. What's behind these things is all the technology that Honda's got, and it is a real miniature race car. The red color isn't just for show. These things really go. I do like the red Brembo brakes though. It does set them off. But the main thing, of course, is under the hood. There it is. The 2-liter 4-cylinder Type R screaming race engine. It is a 2-liter engine, so it's not a tiny engine. And it is a Honda. So, they've proven so far to be extremely reliable as long as you change the oil frequently. It's not like you got a little 1.1 or 1.3 liter 3-cylinder engine with a turbo that's going to blow itself up. Honda's been making turbocharged engines along with their Acura brand. They're still Hondas for quite some time, for decades. And they've got it pretty much bulletproof. Now, this little bitty engine puts out 315 horsepower out of 2 liters. I remember when they used to say, oh, it'll be a miracle if we ever get 100 horsepower per liter. Well, this gets a lot more than 100 horsepower per liter, and it can take it. Really a phenomenal bit of engineering that Honda's putting out here. And much to Honda's kudos. These aren't like Toyota where, oh, their sports car is a rebadged BMW or it's a rebadged Subaru. This is a Honda. Honda makes them, and they hold up. As we go inside here, you'll see made in Japan. And as we go inside, it's got a nice cockpit. Solid door. Of course, it's a 6-speed individual setup. Sport. Got your automatic charger for your phone. Just lay it down there. Nice charging, USB ports. Really comfortable racing seats. Man, I could just sit here all day, not even moving, having fun. And as we go to the back, yes, it does have back seats. And this one's back pretty far in the front, and there's still a lot of room. Now, the early Type R's, not so much room in the back. The whole family came in this thing. It's comfortable. It's not like the earlier ones. It's less insane race interior and more comfy. Now, here's some interesting information. You can see it was assembled in Japan, and the transmission came from Japan, But the engine was made in USA, in Ohio. Make the engines in Ohio. And let's face the facts, you're not going to get too many 315 horsepower engines that can get 28 miles a gallon on the highway. Of course, that's if you keep it in 6th gear going 55, 60 miles an hour. If you can control yourself, this little engine can get decent gas mileage. If you drive it like I drive, you'd probably get more like 10. And that's real gas mileage figures. Because when I had Mustangs, Ford used to give me Mustangs before they got mad at me for saying bad things about them. They'd be rated for 20-something miles a gallon on a highway, and I was getting like 9 or 10. This thing really can get 28 miles a gallon. Now for a little bitty Civic, check it out. You can fit a couple of people in here if you wanted to. There's a lot of room, but of course when the seats go back, you can actually carry stuff with it. You bring some sheetrock or something, you can fit it in here and slide it around. Better stay the heck away from speed bumps and potholes, because these are low profile tires, baby. Yes, they handle like mad, but they will also break and shatter if you hit big potholes. So he paid $1,200 extra for the insurance. So if the rims break, the tires break, they gotta replace them for free. And believe you me, if you're gonna get a setup like this, you better well pay for that, because doesn't matter where you live, the roads are full of potholes. The roads here in Tennessee are much better than the pothole-filled ones when I go to Rhode Island, but still you're driving around. It doesn't take much to destroy these low-profile tires and these very expensive rims. So you can buy one of these, do buy the insurance. Normally, I'm death against those insurance things, but the tires, they can't wheedle their way out of it, because if they break or they're bent, they gotta replace them. That's what the insurance is for. They can't say, you're not covered for that pothole, it was too big. They gotta pay out. All the customers I ever had that bought those, not a single one has been refused to get tires or rims when they break, when they paid for that insurance. So if you're gonna drive these, you really should buy that, or you're gonna be buying a whole bunch of tires and rims, and you'll wish you'd bought the insurance. So it's got a warranty on the wheels and tires for 5 years or 60,000 miles. And from my experience with these things, most guys, they don't want to put too many miles on them, so probably 5 years will come before the 60,000 miles. But it's something you really got to think about. Normally, I don't like those warranties, but in this case, you better get one if you drive them on regular roads full of potholes. So let's take it for a spin. It does have one of these stupid electric parking brakes, which I hate, but what can you do? It's got a really nice backup camera. And here we go. You can see you got a lot of gauge information. Check it out. It's pretty cool, and you can play around with that to your heart's content. Got the big speedometer in the middle, reading digitally, and the tach to the left. So you get your information really fast. You don't have to take your eyes off the road much. Now realize it is a Type R, so you're gonna feel the road. This is a racing car. This isn't a smooth riding car. If you want a Civic that's got a smoother ride, get a Civic Si. You're gonna pay a lot less money and you'll be happier with the smoother ride. But of course, it doesn't go anything like what this thing is gonna do. Now he's got in a comfort zone here, so we're gonna mess around with the drive mode and we're gonna put it in the sport mode instead. We want to have some fun. We don't care if it's bumpy. Anyways, this road isn't too bumpy. You can hear that engine kick in. We're gonna do Type R mode. And look at all the cool graphics, but it's more than that. Here we go to our little racetrack in the sky. We're only headed there, but we'll be there soon. And there's no one behind us, so we'll come to a little stop, and we'll wait till that guy's a little bit further ahead of us. And here we go. This thing is fun to drive. Woo! Listen to that engine. And yeah, as I said, we're bouncing around a little, even though it's a smooth road, because we got it in the R. This is for driving like a race car. This thing is tight, I can just feel it. We had the traction control on. Well, now we've turned it off, so. But I gotta tell you, I could just drive all day long listening to that engine. It's got a nice sound. Who would think a 4-cylinder engine would sound so good? Oh, listen to that thing. Basically, I'll never buy this car because I'd end up in jail. So a whole lot of fun's to be had in these, especially when you put them in the Plus R. Check it out. Nothing is shaking. It's got all that power, but it's like a kitten purring away when it's just sitting there idling. You can barely even tell the engine's going. Now, don't be fooled by their suggested list price, because he paid a little over 60 grand for this thing. But if you've got 60 grand burning a hole in your pocket, Let me tell you, it's not a bad investment because as long as you keep full insurance in case you run into a tree or something, these things will keep their value. They don't make that many of them. They're going for well over MSRP, and as you've seen, they are screaming monsters to drive around if you want them to be that way. Or you can put them on a comfort setting and get a decent ride and get 28 miles a gallon. I mean, where else are you going to get a screaming race car that you can take the family around in and put it in a comfort mode? It's a Honda. Those 2-liter engines are notorious for lasting forever. Even though it's turbocharged, hey, Honda knows what they're doing. And like I said, this is a unique vehicle. It's going to keep its value. These Civic Type R's keep their value. They've sold them worldwide for a long time. 1997. They've only started selling them recently in the United States, and they all sell out. They're very hard to find. He was on a waiting list since July of last year. And he said there were probably still 50 people in front of him, but the guy said, hey, I got one, come look at it, and he bought it. So if you're looking for a little bitty race car that you can use as an everyday driver, and you don't mind forking out 60 grand, you're not going to lose money like in a normal car because they depreciate so fast. These things, they haven't so far, and I don't think they're going to in the future either, because they don't make that many of them. It's a very specialized market that they're going for. Hey, you get a 2-for-1. You can drive your family around, and when they're not around, you can drive like an absolute maniac. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.